Good afternoon. David Brenna here from flycastingacademy.com. Please visit my site, and there's a lot of information for both beginning fly fishermen and seasoned fly fishermen, so I hope you can enjoy that. Today we're going to tie the Renegade. Renegade is a very interesting pattern. It's called a fore and aft pattern. In other words, it's got a hackle in the front and a hackle at the bend and a body in between. The materials I'm going to use are pretty straightforward. I've got two hackles selected. They are, one is white and the other is brown. And I also have a bundle here of peacock herl, very popular material for tying flies. It's got this iridescent fiberish look that seems to make a big difference with fish. So I'm going to proceed. So the first thing, of course, is to wrap my tying thread around the hook and get it well situated. I'm going to start near the front, but I'm going to go pretty quickly all the way back to the very back because that's where I'm going to tie in. And while I'm finishing doing this, let me comment on something that I think is interesting, but not particularly important. The original pattern calls for a tag at the bend of gold tinsel. I used to do that, but I pretty much stopped trying to do that because of a couple of reasons. Number one, it's an awkward circumstance to be involved in doing. And number two, it doesn't seem to make a whole lot of difference. So here is my peacock herl. Now notice that the very front end of these are stripped because that's the way they come. They're plucked off the bird, but I'm going to trim that back so it's even. And then I'm going to lay it on the shank of the hook, and I'm going to wrap forward and make sure that those fibers are captured. And then I'm going to go back and wrap behind the peacock herl and prepare the brown hackle. I've taken the brown hackle, I've pulled back some of the barbs. I'm going to strip those barbs, just a few of them, so that I can tie on just the stem of the fly. I mean, of the hackle. And now I'm going to wrap this hackle a number of turns around the back end of the fly, along the barb, along the bend, I should say. Careful not to capture too many of the hackle fibers by the hook point. And then I'm going to secure the hackle with the tying thread. Just needs a couple of wraps, but make sure that you've captured the hackle effectively so that when you trim it off, it doesn't come undone. Now we move on to the body. Obviously, we first want to bring our tying thread forward and wrap it down at about where you want to have the next hackle go. There's a lot of ways that you can make sure that peacock herl stays in place. I will tell you right now, this is the kind of fly that typically gets chewed up pretty quickly, especially if they're hitting it. So the answer to that is to tie a lot of them. There are lots and lots of ways that I've read about and tried, including wrapping the peacock herl around the tying thread before wrapping it, twisting the peacock herl wrapping a wire around it, or even wrapping the peacock herl against the normal wrap. In other words, not over the top, but under, and thereby creating a little stronger body that holds together. Believe me, the first thing that will go on this fly will be the peacock herl body. Now we take the white hackle. This is actually a badger with a very small black shank, and I'm going to wrap that on the base of the hook, and then wrap the white hackle. And again, you don't want to overdress this fly. It's because it has hackles on both the front and the back. It's really going to float high. So you don't have to overdress it. You can keep it reasonably sparse. Secure it with the tying thread. Trim the fly, the hackle. And then we finish the fly with the standard whip finish. Being careful not to wrap down any of the hackle. Again, you can secure this fly with a little drop of head cement if you like, but by and large, there it is. That is the Renegade. It does not look like a normal insect at all, and yet it fishes extremely well, and I often use it as a searching pattern. When I don't see a hatch going, it's real easy for me to just fish the Renegade until I've figured out what the trout are paying attention to. Because if they are looking up and seeing dry flies at all, the Renegade will attract some fish. One of the nicest West Slope cutthroats I've ever caught was caught on a Renegade. He simply was interested in the color and the high floatability of this fly. So have at it, tie bunches of them. You're going to need them. You don't need to do a lot of different hook sizes. A size 12 will pretty much take care of most of your needs in fishing the Renegade. It's a great pattern. Be sure to visit our website, flycastingacademy.com. You can read about the Renegade in one of the blog posts, and tight lines.